In part 3 of exporting SurveyMonkey data for analysis in SPSS, we're going to be looking at an example where we're going to export an Excel file, but where the values within the file are going to be expressed as numerical values. So this is what the export survey data dialog would look like. You can see that unlike the previous one here, we're using in the sales area, we're using numerical values. We're still sticking to XLS and we're still using a condensed format. Let's take a look at what type of file that creates. And as before, this results in a zipped archive file, which contains 3 Excel workbooks. The first 2 aren't really important or interesting to us. These are the system information. The third one is the actual survey itself. And if we double click on it, we can open it up and see that as before, we have this extra row of metadata, which is really just referring to the variables. And we can't have that. That's going to confuse SPSS if we have that 2 rows of metadata, one containing the field names, and then we've got more information down here about the fields. If you try and read that into SPSS, it'll just result in an error message because the first cell is blank and it won't like that. So we're just going to delete it. And then you'll notice along the bottom here, previously we had the answers as text, the actual answers as text. Now we have most of the answers are actual numbers, so the numerical values. These are the numerical values that refer to the responses that people give in the SurveyMonkey questionnaire. So let's save this and then read this saved file into SPSS. And now within SPSS, we just need to go to File and Import Data and go to Excel, point it to wherever our condensed numeric value Excel file has been exported. Here it is, it's Analytics Survey. We click Open. And it basically finds where the data is. You notice it says read variable names from the first row of data, and of course we've deleted that second row, which would have confused it because it wouldn't have understood that they were part of the variable names. We click OK at that point. It reads in the data, and what we'll see is that of course we have a lot of numeric values that represent the responses. We also have, as we saw beforehand, of these multiple response questions, have these V18, V19, V20. So when we go to variable view here, we're going to have to clean this up a little bit. We don't need all of the fields across at the top as before, so I'll just delete these guys. And if I go to variable view, I might want to change the names of the fields. The labels look okay. There's a few field names here that need labels. But more importantly, what I need to do is I need to attach value labels. This is what's really missing. So it says how recently did you use software. You know, value 1 might be something like within the last week or something like that. That's what I'm going to have to add to that value so that those labels appear when we do an analysis. So let me just spend a moment doing that and we'll show you the end results. Okay, so you can see I've invested a bit of time here just giving it meaningful field names again, adding, copying and pasting variable labels in where they're required, and attaching value labels to these responses, these numeric responses, rather than just having string responses. To be fair, what I've done most of the time is I've just copied and pasted these directly from the design tab of my SurveyMonkey questionnaire. So I've just basically copied and pasted them from SurveyMonkey into here. It does take time. It's one of the downsides of using this option when you don't have the option to export your data as an SPSS SAV file, which we'll be looking at in the next section. But suffice to say, by doing that, it means I don't have to use the recode procedure. I can just add some labels and value labels and variable labels and things like that, and it's usually a bit less hassle, though it can be time consuming as well. You can see here when I click on descriptive statistics, it just shows me everything in the correct order rather than alphabetical order, and that's very important. Of course, when I look at things like recency analysis and right click on that and show descriptive statistics, you can see it's within the last 7 days, within the last 3 months, everything's within it's in order, and it's been correctly formatted because we've attached the correct value labels to those numeric responses. Okay, in the next section, we're going to look at importing the exported SPSS file and see what a difference that makes.